What's poppin'? What's up? What's good? Grand Rising, my loves. It's your girl, NESHA NATION, and I am back, y'all, with another lit reaction video for you guys. So I don't know exactly what I'm doing today because I haven't seen it, but my baby sent it to me. And so yeah, we're gonna start this one off fresh. I ain't seen it like I haven't seen the previous one. So before we get into this video, guys, make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you guys won't be missing out on any other video, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm anxious to get this one started. Okay, y'all. So without further ado, let's get into this.
In the beginning, there was darkness, and then bang, giving birth to an endless expanding existence of time, space, and matter. Every day, new discoveries are unlocking the mysterious, the mind-blowing, the deadly secrets of a place we call the universe. Thousands of witnesses have claimed to see UFOs, and their accounts are often strikingly similar.
You have a crash saucer, but also some crash bodies. You have government cover-up.
Mainstream science says the evidence just isn't there.
Oh my God. It's a big jump between a UFO and an extraterrestrial spacecraft.
But if UFOs were really extraterrestrial craft, what kind of mind-bending technologies would we find under the hood?
You'd have to have some sort of technology that was capable of canceling the effects of inertia.
When it comes to unidentified flying objects, what is the real deal? For millions of believers, it all began on June 24th, 1947. A businessman and pilot named Kenneth Arnold is flying solo near Mount Rainier, Washington. Suddenly, he sees a group of 9 aircraft moving at incredible speeds.
They were highly reflective, and they were flying at supersonic speeds, in formation, changing course abruptly. The speeds were unattainable at the time. This was before the age of jets, and certainly supersonic jets.
Supersonics.
Being a trained pilot, he did several things to corroborate their existence, to make sure he wasn't seeing some kind of atmospheric effect. He changed his head angle, he changed the aircraft angle. He even positioned the aircraft such that there was a light snow in the background behind the objects, and they appear dark against a light surface.
Before Arnold can maneuver closer, the objects are gone.
It was basically unprecedented in modern times. No one had seen anything like this.
In the days that follow, newspaper reporters misquote Arnold as he tries to make sense of the incident.
In fact, he said it moved like saucers skipping on water. Now, of course, the reporter kind of messed that up in reporting it and said that they looked like saucers.
The term flying saucer is born, and Arnold's encounter launches the modern UFO phenomenon. Weeks later, in the summer of 1947, perhaps the most famous incident involving an unidentified flying object is reported near Roswell, New Mexico.
Roswell's become the poster child of the UFO phenomenon because it has all the necessary ingredients. You have a crash saucer, but also some crash bodies. You have government cover-up. There was some sort of cover-up. There was misinformation given out by the authorities.
The original account put out by the Air Force at the time was that this was a flying saucer of alien origin, and then later very quickly was denied. And the story then was that this was a weather balloon which had crashed, and that there were no occupants on board, and that there was nothing extraterrestrial about it.
Other witnesses claim to have seen actual pieces of a crashed spacecraft. Materials that are reportedly unknown to science. Both Arnold's sightings and the Roswell incident remain officially unconfirmed and highly controversial.
Just about every year, there are thousands of reported sightings, mostly in the sky, of objects that they assume are extraterrestrial craft, so-called UFOs. The U is important, of course, they're unidentified.
I personally have seen a bright light start at the horizon and shoot off into the clouds. Now, strictly speaking, that was a UFO. It's a big jump between a UFO and an extraterrestrial spacecraft.
Scientists argue that most UFO sightings either have earthly origins, like satellites, balloons, and aircraft, or cosmic origins, such as meteors, comets, or even an especially bright planet Venus. But when a UFO sighting has no known explanation, could it be an extraterrestrial craft? And if so, what kind of technologies could possibly explain the behaviors that witnesses actually report? How would such craft be built? And what problems would they have to overcome?
A lot of the behavior of UFOs that people have reported are things that are beyond our current level of physics. Extreme rates of speed or extreme acceleration, extreme turn rates, things that just we're not capable of doing without extreme harm to a pilot or destroying a spacecraft.
Eyewitness accounts of super fast accelerations, lightning turns, and sudden stops seem to violate known laws of physics. But could aliens find a way around these laws?
Yeah, they can.
So what we have to keep in mind here is the principle of inertia. That principle, stated first by Isaac Newton, says that an object at rest or in motion tends to stay at rest or in motion unless acted on by an outside force. So to generate these kinds of crazy changes in inertia, you'd really have to act on that object with an immense amount of force.
Following the same logic, a fighter pilot traveling near the speed of sound, attempting to make a 90-degree turn at the same speed, would experience something close to 300 Gs of force. The most that a human pilot wearing a pressure suit can manage without blacking out is around 10 Gs. If his physiology were remotely similar to humans, an extraterrestrial pilot undergoing a 300 G maneuver would instantly perish. His internal organs would continue moving forward and crush against the skeleton.
If they were similar to us, they'd probably have to have a way of injecting fluid, internal fluid inside their bodies, so that they dealt with this problem of their organs floating around inside. And if they were strapped in properly and cushioned properly, end up not having internal damage when they accelerated and decelerated.
To effectively cancel the inertial effects on the craft itself, the pilots might switch on a technology that is beyond the reach of modern humans.
So in order to cancel out the effects of a 300 G turn and not be squished by that amount of force, you'd have to have some sort of technology or a device that was capable of canceling the effects of inertia.
The device would have to manipulate the force of gravity, using a type of force field to counteract the gravitational forces that rule the entire universe.
That's crazy.
This device you could turn on if you wanted to, and turn it off if you wanted to, or maybe it would come on and off automatically. This is high technology that's out of sight.
But if science can't yet explain how these craft could overcome the deadly problem of inertia, can it help explain their shapes? Particularly the most famous shape of all, the flying saucer. In the late 1950s, the U.S. Air Force tested the Avro car, but the design had poor stability and few aerodynamic advantages, proving that high speeds are unattainable for saucer craft in Earth's atmosphere. The delta wing, or wedge shape, is a far stronger candidate, a fact that is well known by modern military aircraft designers. In fact, the percentage of UFO sightings reporting a wedge-shaped craft have increased in recent decades, a trend that mirrors the emergence of swept-wing jets and even flying wing designs, like the B-2 stealth bomber.
The shapes that people have reported over the years have changed, with the most recent ones being more wedge-shaped. So really, people's accounts tend to reflect the most advanced aircraft of the time.
Beyond movement and shape, any attempt to explain the science of UFOs has to deal with the noise factor, or rather, the lack of noise. UFO reports consistently claim that the objects move without making any sound.
Almost all of these sightings, it's a real rule, there's no noise, which you would expect to hear from any fast-moving craft in the Earth's atmosphere. You would hear it.
What actually happens is that you get what's called a sonic boom, and that's a special pressure wave that sweeps through the atmosphere along with the craft. So you're on the ground, and that huge sonic boom is the result of that pressure difference between the front of the aircraft and the back of the aircraft as it pushes through the atmosphere.
I did not know that.
Could an alien craft somehow cancel out the enormous pressure wave that supersonic flight generates? The answer could lie in the technology used in the latest generation of digital noise-canceling headphones.
So there is such a thing as a sound canceling technology where you take a particular sound that you're interested in canceling and kind of broadcast the negative of that sound to cancel it out. Now, I'm not aware of any technology that's capable of doing that with shockwaves.
Canceling out the ear-splitting, body-shaking effect of a sonic boom would certainly require some advanced engineering skills.
For real.
And if there is silence, what about invisibility? Some reports claim that UFOs simply disappear into thin air. One promising human technology currently being researched might explain such phenomenon.
There is a technology on the horizon which might change things visually, and that is a kind of light-bending technology. As a class, they're called metamaterials. If you want to think about popular movies, think the invisibility cloak in the Harry Potter movies.
Metamaterials use combinations of polymer substrates, gold, and copper to forcibly bend electromagnetic waves around an object.
What the fuck? They can do that?
The light is guided around the object rather than being reflected or refracted. But advanced materials, stealth capability, and mind-bending maneuverability would all come to nothing if our visitors were unable to get to Earth in the first place.
I'd say that the chances of another civilization making it here to visit us are pretty minuscule. But if they did make it, it would mean that they had solved a whole bunch of problems, including material science problems that we don't have answers to. So they'd have technology far beyond ours, perhaps even beyond what we dreamt of at this point.
But scientists can imagine several ingenious technologies that could bridge the seemingly unbridgeable distance between the stars, including one explosive propulsion source that's so apocalyptic we might see them coming light years away.
Damn, son.
For decades, countless UFO reports have surfaced from cities and countries around the globe. But not all UFO sightings have been reported from the surface of planet Earth. On July 19th, 2009, viewers of a NASA video feed from the Space Shuttle Endeavour reported seeing a disc-shaped object hovering above the shuttle's mechanical arm. Space-based UFO sightings like this have purportedly happened throughout the history of manned spaceflight. Unspecified cosmic phenomenon? Or could it suggest the possibility that huge extraterrestrial starships are cruising the Milky Way galaxy?
Space travel between the stars, it's a staple of science fiction, right? You see it every night on television, you see it in the movies all the time. But could we really do it, or could any species really do it? Well, the distances between the stars are enormous, really enormous. Interstellar travel doesn't violate physics. It isn't that you can rule it out and say, there's absolutely no way they can come here. It's just that it's very, very hard.
Just traveling from the Earth to Alpha Centauri, our closest neighboring star at nearly 4.5 light years, is beyond the reach of our most powerful rockets.
If an advanced civilization were to visit us from a distant star system, we can pretty much rule out that they would use chemical rockets to get here. Despite the impressive pillar of fire and smoke that we see during Apollo, Saturn V, or shuttle launches, chemical rockets don't get you very far in the solar system.
Water.
To give you some context for that distance, our furthest known space probe is Voyager 1, launched in 1977. It's been flying for 34 years at 38,000 miles per hour, and it's only now starting to leave our solar system.
If its destination were Alpha Centauri, it would take over 56,000 years to reach even the closest star system. To engage in interstellar missions on timeframes of a human lifetime, around about 50 years, we can see that we need to increase the speed that we can travel by at least a factor of 1,000.
Scientists have determined that the speed of light is a mind-blowing 186,000 miles per second. A spacecraft traveling the star system would have to reach a significant percentage of that speed, even to reach the nearest star. The biggest obstacle is weight. A chemical rocket exacts a huge weight penalty because its entire fuel supply must be carried on board.
We can calculate that even to reach 6% of the speed of light using chemical rocket fuel, you would need more rocket fuel than exists mass in the universe. So we really know that it's actually impossible to reach another star system using chemical rocket fuel.
If extraterrestrial visitations are even possible, their spacecraft must solve this problem. In 2011, NASA's NanoSail D became the first solar sail to orbit the Earth. The ultra-thin 100 square foot sail uses sunlight, or photon pressure, as a source of propulsion.
One of the immutable limitations of rocket propulsion is the fact that any rocket has to carry its fuel with it. A solar sail can take advantage of the naturally occurring resources, namely photons emanating from the sun, which can be used to propel that solar sail.
Wow.
Similarly, a hang glider can fly without any fuel or an engine just by taking advantage of the natural resources we're surrounded by, namely the atmosphere and the laws of aerodynamics.
To achieve sufficient speeds to tow a spacecraft supporting life forms, the sail would have to be huge, up to hundreds of miles in diameter. And because the photon pressure from a star would decrease the further the sail traveled, some have envisioned a concentrated laser beam directing energy of the sail.
Eventually, and sadly, this hang glider and all hang gliders at some point have to land. But a solar sail riding a beam of laser energy could conceivably travel to the stars.
The max speed of a solar sail? About 10% the speed of light. Travel from Earth to Alpha Centauri using laser-generated photons? About 45 years.
Damn.
Currently, NASA and other space agencies have plans for launching more solar sails. But there are other, more powerful sources of propulsion in the universe.
In the 1960s, a method of propulsion was proposed where a spacecraft would literally drop a series of explosive charges out the back, and the force of the explosions would push the spacecraft forward. The prototype was called the Orion drive, and there were actually a series of experiments done with conventional charges to show that it would work. The Orion drive, however, was proposed to use nuclear charges. In order to simulate an Orion-style propulsion system, Paul and Jim here are rigging up a demonstration where they're going to put a small chemical charge inside this barrel, and we're going to lift this off the ground 50, 60 feet in the air. We're going to actually calculate the energy released in this explosion and compare it to a nuclear charge you might find on an actual Orion spacecraft system. Our Orion spacecraft simulator is rigged and ready to go. We're going to light off the charges inside, blow the can up into the air, and compare that with the energy released from a typical nuclear explosion that would be used on an Orion-style drive.
Oh, shit.
The Orion spacecraft, studied at Los Alamos in the late 1950s, proposed nuclear fission as its propulsion source. Fission energy is produced when the nucleus of an atom splits into smaller parts, producing free neutrons and protons that release tremendous gamma-ray energy.
The explosive charge in this 35-pound barrel lofted it about 60 feet in the air. A small nuclear charge in the Hiroshima range would liberate about 27 million times more energy. Clearly, that's a practical propulsion drive for interplanetary or even interstellar travel. Because of the huge explosions that an Orion drive would require, on the back of the spacecraft, you would have a huge, thick metal plate that would absorb the thrust of the explosion and a series of shock absorbers to keep the crew from getting jolted each time the charges went up.
Right.
The max speed of a nuclear-powered fission spacecraft? About 5% the speed of light.
Damn.
Travel time from Earth to Alpha Centauri? About 90 years.
Damn.
Despite its powerful fuel source, the fission craft is actually slower than a solar sail. Boosting speed would mean turning to another, more intense nuclear reaction.
Look at that.
Fission technology is well known and understood, and we've been using it to generate power here on Earth for decades. But there's another kind of nuclear technology, and that's nuclear fusion.
Fusion is the power source of the sun. In the core of our sun, the temperatures are so high, atoms are moving so fast that they slam into each other, creating new elements and liberating energy.
The opposite of fission, fusion energy is produced when two atomic nuclei fuse together to form a single heavier nucleus.
Wow.
The result is a huge liberation of energy. A fusion-powered spacecraft was proposed in a 1970s study called Project Daedalus. Its mission called for a trip to Barnard's star, some 5.9 light-years distant. Instead of nuclear bombs, the fusion-powered craft creates the propulsion on board in a reaction chamber.
The fuel pellets for the Daedalus-class starship consisted of pellets composed of a deuterium-helium-3 mix. These would have been ignited by what we call relativistic electron beams. These are extremely high-energy electrons that would have hit the deuterium-helium-3 pellets, caused them to fuse, and a huge amount of energy would be released. The Daedalus design called for 250 of these pellets to be released every second for over 2 years.
Damn.
The spacecraft would have weighed 55,000 tons, most of which would have been fuel.
Damn.
The weight penalty for such a spacecraft would be high, but an advanced civilization could eliminate the problem by mining the hydrogen fuel during its interstellar journey. Deuterium, or heavy hydrogen, exists in abundance on Earth, notably in seawater. But helium-3 is a much rarer isotope. In our solar system, it can be found on the moon, and in vast quantities on Jupiter and Saturn. Scientists have proposed using huge hydrogen scoops to mine the helium-3 needed to cross the void of space.
So it's conceivable that if you had a craft that was powered by nuclear fusion, you could go to another star system and then use the hydrogen available from that star to refuel.
The self-contained, fusion-powered spacecraft could avoid a huge weight penalty and reach speeds that could allow near-star exploration in a reasonable time frame. The max speed of a nuclear-powered fusion spacecraft? up to 15% the speed of light. Travel time from Earth to Alpha Centauri, about 35 years. The immense costs, the logistics, and even the politics of nuclear-powered spaceflight long ago caused humanity to scrap any and all plans.
Okay, guys, sorry about that, but I do have to end this because it is halfway, and I don't know if you guys like the shorter videos or the longer videos, so I'm just gonna end this right here, make this part 2 tomorrow. No, it's Wednesday, so tune in, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. This is mind-blowing. Fuck that, I can't just get out of here. Like, this is for real mind-blowing. I didn't know that it was all of this mixed into the galaxy, like, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know how I didn't know that, but I didn't. Like, this is weird. Wow. Thank you, baby. But yeah, what the I'll be thinking about this all day. Y'all, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to wait, but I got to. Okay, so yeah, like I said, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you guys will be notified every time I upload a video. And until next time, bless you all.